masculine and feminine energy are internal in all of us. And a lot of people are now using polarity conversations to shame and blame their partners. You're not feminine enough. You're not masculine enough. I'm not feminine enough. I'm not masculine enough. We shame and blame our partners. We shame and blame ourselves. And we forget that while these energies are a part of each and every human, there's also humans that we're working with. Like when I'm working with my husband in this arena, yes, I'm working with his masculine energy, but I'm working with a man called Preston who has a history and a past, and he's a human. And so often we want to relegate it to like, well, if he was in his masculine, then I would do this. Maybe, right? Like that's his work to do on his own. My feminine's my work to do on my own. And we're still very much dealing with real humans and still trying to figure that out. So let's not like fully only play in the philosophical of the two. And let's land in like, this is a human that's very complex and very gray. It's not black and white.
Yeah.
Right. And so the idea of masculine and feminine, which I love, is very black and white.
Yeah.
It's like masculine is this, feminine is this. Masculine containment, yes. It's supposed to contain and inspire the feminine radiance to come online and fully surrender.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But now I'm dealing with a human who has traumas. I'm dealing with a body that's dense. I'm dealing with positions and postures we've taken in relationship over 10 years. Ooh. All right, it's a little more complex than that,
Yeah.
right? And I know you teach this work as well. It's so gray because it depends on the woman and the man.
Yeah.
Right? Some men have a more feminine core. Some women have a more masculine core. Okay, so how does that woman find her feminine? Right? And the answer is you have to find the expression of your core essence that works for you. Because again, we live in this world that so wants to objectify everything. And I know for myself, for a very long time, I punished myself for not being feminine enough because I'm a type A, go-getter, ambitious, always been that way since I was a kid. It's not something that I learned, right? And I made myself wrong and thought, oh, if I'm in my feminine, it has to look like this. I don't work as hard. I don't do this. I dress this way. I talk this way. I float around in fields of daisies or whatever the idea is, right?
Yeah.
But that is just another objectification of who I think I should be. And men the same. Like men have a really high standard these days in the spiritual community of women of like, you're not in your masculine. You don't contain me. And it's like, well, it's a little more complex than that.
Yeah. It's so interesting you mentioned that. But I would say that at my core, I think I'm more feminine.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think Preston is too.
Yeah.
Like he's very open and available and artistic and creative and fuck yeah,
Yeah.
And the thing is, we say as women, oh, I want my man to contain me. It's like, do you want that all the time? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes we want to dance. Like, I don't think a man always wants a woman who's fully in her feminine all the time. Like
No.
he might want some inspiration and some life and some ambition and drive. And again, we're humans.
It's, it's one of the things I love about Jen. It's like when I'm going through, like when I have a problem to solve and I don't necessarily know how to solve it myself,
Yeah.
I'll like tee it up to her and she'll be like, well, baby, haven't you thought about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P? And I'm like, yes.
Yes. And like we could say, okay, that's her in her full power,
Right.
which to me is her feminine's fully online and her masculine's fully online.
Yeah.
She is integrated in her wholeness and her expression as a woman,
Yeah.
right? And vice versa. Like there's moments when Preston's so in his power. And to me, he's integrated in his feminine and his masculine. And it's like that. I just want someone who's in alignment
With them.
with them.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Whatever that looks like.
However that presents. And I think that's why the journey is so nuanced for each human is we have to be willing to have the humility to look at ourselves and go, well, how do I actually present? Like, who am I at my core?
Yeah.
And then what type of man do I want to be? What type of woman do I want to be? And for me, like the stretch of the woman I wanted to become, she was more in her body. She was more in her joy. She was more present. She was more alive. She was more inspired and artistic and creative because I've always been her, but I put her on the shelf because I didn't value that.
Yeah.
Because society doesn't value that. Society wants a hardworking boss babe entrepreneur that's crushing it and 6-7 figure businesses. And so I was like, cool, that's what I'm going to do to get love and validation. Great. And it worked until it didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it doesn't, you start to search for answers. And my answer came, go back in the body.
Go back in the body.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so interesting how all of this like reflects on what we choose to do
Yeah.
for a living.
Yes.
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 Because it, because when I was in, an unhealthy balance with myself, I can honestly say my feminine was like, here I am saying to you, I think like my core, like it's mostly feminine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet here I am saying to you that. And yet when I was like, the real estate broker, my feminine was completely shut off.
Right.
100% shut off.
Right.
Because I was living in survival paradigm, make the money, get the things, so forth and so on.
And in a very masculine driven, shadow masculine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shadow, 100%.
Yeah.
And then like I'm sitting here realizing that in truth, when everything really started to take off for me is when I returned to the essence of who I am.
Yes.